In the quiet, fog-covered streets of an old European city, there's a legend that still haunts the shadows. A legend of a creature so ancient, so powerful that its very name sends chills down the spine of anyone who dares to speak it. Nosferatu, a being born from the darkest corners of nightmares, a monster who thrives in the stillness of the night, feasting on the blood of the living. It was a time of uncertainty. The world was recovering from war, the streets empty, and the air thick with a sense of dread. People spoke in hushed whispers, and those who dared venture too far after nightfall often didn't return. Those who survived spoke of strange disappearances, of dark figures lurking in the fog, and a sensation of being watched, followed by the unmistakable sound of scratching at windows and doors. Eleanor Gray, a young woman with an insatiable curiosity and a passion for history, had heard the rumors, of course. She had dismissed them as stories, mere whispers meant to keep children in bed at night. But when she was sent to a small, isolated town in the mountains to research an ancient castle for a book on local folklore, she found that some stories are far too real to ignore. The town she arrived in seemed trapped in time, a place where the modern world had never truly reached. The locals were reclusive, their faces as weathered as the stone buildings that surrounded them. The silence in the streets was unsettling, and the only sounds were the distant caws of crows perched on the rooftops. Eleanor, though fascinated by the town's charm, couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Her investigation led her to the old Vorden Castle, a place abandoned for centuries but still standing as if frozen in time. There were no tourists here, no guides to show her around. The only entrance was through a rusted iron gate that creaked with the wind. As she stepped inside, the air grew colder, the stone beneath her feet slick with moisture, and the walls echoed with the sounds of something not quite human. Eleanor had heard of the curse of Nosferatu, a being said to have once lived in the castle centuries ago. The old texts spoke of a vampire, a creature that could not die, a creature who once ruled over the land with terror and bloodshed. But they said it was a myth, a fairy tale meant to scare children into behaving. No one believed in Nosferatu anymore, or at least that's what Eleanor thought. As the days passed, Eleanor uncovered strange journals hidden in the castle's abandoned library. Pages yellowed with age, words faded by time, and yet they told the same horrifying story. There were accounts of a creature with elongated fangs, eyes as dark as the midnight sky, and the ability to move through walls. A creature who fed on the souls of the living, who could turn men into mindless servants. And the most terrifying part? It was still alive, still hidden in the shadows, waiting. Then, Eleanor began to notice things. At night, she could hear scratching at her windows, low, desperate sounds that seemed to vibrate through the very walls. The townspeople warned her not to go near the castle, not to stay after nightfall, but her curiosity pushed her deeper into the mystery. One fateful evening, Eleanor ventured into the catacombs beneath the castle. There, in the darkness, she stumbled upon a hidden chamber, its walls lined with the bones of countless victims, their eyes wide open in terror. And in the center of it all, there was a crypt sealed with iron chains, but the chains had been broken. The air grew thick with an oppressive heat, and Eleanor felt her breath catch in her throat as she slowly approached the crypt. The faintest whisper of movement, a brush of wind against her neck, sent a shiver down her spine. It was there, in the darkness, that she saw it. The creature that had been hidden for centuries. Its eyes gleamed with hunger, and its skin was as pale as death itself. The Nosferatu, a creature of unimaginable evil, stood before her. It was no myth, no fairy tale. The vampire had awakened, and it had been waiting for someone like her, someone who was foolish enough to uncover its resting place. Eleanor ran. She ran through the narrow halls of the castle, her heart pounding in her chest, but the creature was faster. It could move with the wind, with the shadows, always just behind her. The darkness closed in as she reached the door, but the Nosferatu was already there, its cold fingers brushing against her neck. With every ounce of strength, Eleanor pushed the door open and stumbled out into the town. But the town wasn't the sanctuary she had hoped for. The streets were empty. The houses were dark. The very town she had entered with excitement and curiosity had now become a tomb. As the creature emerged from the castle, it followed her, its form shifting, almost like liquid shadows that stretched and stretched, creeping toward her. The townspeople, once silent, now emerged from their homes. pale, soulless creatures, their eyes glowing a haunting shade of red. They were the vampire's thralls, twisted and corrupted by the Nosferatu's bite. Eleanor realized then that she had not just awakened the creature. She had unleashed a nightmare upon the world, a nightmare that could never be undone. And now, there was no escaping it. The Nosferatu was awake, and it would stop at nothing to claim her and everyone else, one soul at a time. As the moon rose high above the town, Eleanor's fight for survival had just begun. The question wasn't whether she could escape, but whether anyone could survive the darkness that was about to swallow them all. If you like our video, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe our channel. Also, let us know which movie you want next in comments section.